If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. I don't really have any beginner videos on my channel because I just don't have the patience to deal with beginner type courses. It's not anything to do with you, it's more of a thing to do with me. I tend to cater more to the intermediate side of things where we are a little bit more involved in things that were learned in the beginning. One of the things that I use is relationships. Pretty much every project on my channel has something to do with some type of relationship. And I wanted to do a pretty short series on some of the relationships that I mainly use. We will not be going over all of them because some are more used than others and some are kind of piggybacked onto others. They're just sort of additional types of ways that you can do stuff. So I'm just mainly going to go over the ones that I typically use, and then I'm going to add one or two more that I don't really use that often, but they are pretty interesting to look at. For this purpose, we aren't going to be building a full-on project, but we are just going to have in our mind the type of project that we want to build, and we're going to incorporate these relationships into this make-believe project that we are creating. The idea that I've come up with is I want to build a game. Right? And what kind of things are involved in a game? Well, you have a character, you have equipment, you have all sorts of different things within a game that we can use these relationships to include in our game. So just keep it in mind, that's what we're building. We're building some kind of clicky game. We're going to have a variety of different things involving what a game is. So the first relationship that I want to take a look at is the one-to-one relationship. Now, this is the most simple out of all of the relationships where one model has another model and the other model belongs to that first model. That's as simple as it gets. So that's what we'll be looking at first, which is the has one and the belongs to opposite side of that relationship. That's the inverse. Belongs to. Let's go ahead, start working on this and see how far we can get using the concept of a game with these relationships. The first thing that I want to do is I want to create a file so that we can sort of document what we're doing and where we're going, just to kind of give us a little bit of a scaffolding of our relationships. So I'm going to open up the terminal and I'm going to create a notes.txt. This will be included with the repo. Links will be down in the description so that you can follow along with what we're doing. Let's go ahead and open up that notes.txt. How is this going to work? Well, it'll be a one-to-one relationship. And we're just going to put here belongs to and has one. So how can we do this? Well, the user will have one character. Well, what does that mean? Well, this character will have all kinds of different things. So they'll have a username, they'll have a way for you to contact them if we were adding messages to this particular game or posts or anything like that where we wanted to communicate with each other. We can do it through the character. The user will be behind the character model. So the user will have one character and then the character will belong to the user. Now, before we do this, I typically like to show what I'm using just so that everybody's on the same page with that. And I'm just using Laravel 10.10. Sanctum's included here, but it's not really going to be that much of a focus or anything today. It's just something that I have in here. And I will be using Laravel Sail to handle my development environment. We're not going to be really using anything with the node modules. We do have the plugins if we need it, but we're not going to be using the front end like that. We're only doing a very basic Laravel setup. We already have a user model right here. It doesn't actually have anything that we need for this game just yet. Well, it does, but at this point in time, it's just a basic user model. So we do need to create this new character model, and then we also need to create the new migration. So we'll go ahead, open up the terminal, and then we'll do artisan make model. We'll call it character, and we'll also make the migration for that. Let's go ahead and start with the migration. And what can we do here? Well, we're just going to keep it super simple. So the only thing that I want to do is create a username, and that's something that we can add to this table. And we'll just have username here. Let's go ahead and add this to the model. So we have the fillable in here. You can also do guarded. Not a big deal, not entirely crucial to what we're doing. Something that I do want you to be aware of too is that we are using the conventional methods for dealing with these relationships. The reason that we're going to do it the conventional way is because it avoids a lot of other things like putting here that the table is X, Y, and Z. The table it has characters. That's the table that we'll be targeting with this model. It avoids a lot of things like that so that the code is more readable to anybody that you're sharing it with. It's understandable that everything is the same. That's why it's called conventional. The other thing that we also need to do is, because this is a direct relationship to the user model, we should also have a foreign ID here. This way we can associate the user ID with the character model. And all we need to do is add user ID here, and then we're going to add constrained, and then we'll just cascade on delete. These are things you can use. Back in the day, you used to have this in 2 lines and it would look slightly different, but for us in Laravel 10, where we are now, this is what the more modern way of doing it is, so that's what we're going to do. So if we go back, we don't have a relationship in here yet, which is absolutely fine. We can go ahead and open up that user model. In our relationship little sort of outline that we're following here, we're going to have a user that has 1 character. In the user model, if we go down to the bottom, we can create that relationship. So has 1. I am using an extension that basically just throws up some default scaffolding for Laravel functions, and this is one of them. It brings in the has 1 relationship. So if we take a look at the notations, it says get the user associated with the user, and that's not what we're doing. We want to get the character associated with the user, and that's where this function has been changed as well. Let's go ahead and import this. And then we also do need to change this to character. And we don't have to import it. We don't have to do anything else with this function except for remove this. Now, as I said before, since we are going to be using the conventional methods of doing things, even though the extension that I'm using brings in these for the default, we don't actually need these. Laravel is clever enough to know that if we have the name here and we have the model name here, we don't have to add the foreign key or the local key. Those would typically be the ID numbers from those tables. We don't actually need to have them in here because we are doing it the conventional way. So we can go ahead and get rid of these 2 and just leave it at that. This function is completely done. If you're interested in seeing the extensions that I use for VS Code, I have an entire video dedicated to that. Some things have been updated along the way, but you'll figure that out as you go along. That video is already up and done. Our character table is done, and the model is pretty much done. We do need to get this relationship to work. So what I want to do is I want to use the web route, and everything that we have to do with our relationships are going to be done in here. I'm not going to create an extra controller or anything like that. We're just going to have it here so that it's all in one place for you. Now, the first one that we're going to explore is the one-to-one relationship. So here, I'll just put 1-to-1. And in this one-to-one, what are we doing? We're going to say that the user has 1 character. So here, we can just create a user variable. We'll create that user variable using the user model. And what we can do is from the factory, I'm going to grab it from the user factory here and use this to create our user, with some adjustments, of course. So we don't really need the remember token, and we don't really need the email verified at. And this password, we can leave it like this, but I'm going to use the hash facade. And then we're just going to make password. So that's good. We are creating the user, and let me import this. And then we're going to have user, character, create. And because we are using this user character instead of looking for the user and then creating a separate character, kind of how we did like this. So something like this. Character. Create. So instead of doing this like this, we're able to just attach the character relationship to the user. If we do it this way, then what will happen is it'll insert in the table, it'll insert this user ID without us having to use fillable or guarded or anything like that if we do it in this way. If you do it this way, then you do have to add that additional the user ID equals user ID, right? So that's how you would be doing it that way, but we're not doing it that way. We're going to do it this way. And therefore, all we'll need to do in here is now add the username. We can use the fake function from the faker package that comes with the default shipment of Laravel, and then we can just do username. So to run through it, we are creating a user. We are creating a character for that user. This character is going to have the username for this character that belongs to this user. And we're going to go ahead and pass it into our welcome blade. So we'll say user here. And now we should be able to run the migration so that we can make sure that we have the user and the characters in the migration. Does not exist. Would you like to create it? Yes. Okay, good. Now we have the migration set up. As you can see, it's run the users table. It's run the additional tables that comes with the default shipment of Laravel, as well as the characters table that we just created. So we're good with that at this point. Now, where can we see this? Well, we can see this on the welcome view. We'll just go ahead and change it. And I can close these for right now. Let me open up this character one just in case. So I'm going to go down to the welcome.blade.php. This is in the resources. Use welcome.blade.php. And as you can see here, this should be displayed in the browser right now. We don't have any authentication or anything. We're going to do everything on this page so we don't have to register or anything like that. So let's go ahead, change this so that we can see our relationships on this view. Here, I am just going to get rid of this stuff in here because we're not going to be needing it. And I want to remove all of this. And I'm going to paste in some styling. And all it is really is just a little box. And then we're going to be able to run all our relationships through here. This is what it basically looks like, but I want some Tailwind. So we'll go over to the Tailwind site. We'll head over to the docs. And I just want to use the CDN for it, which is this right here. So I'm going to grab this line. And then at the top of this where it says styles, I'm just going to paste that in. And that will just give us a very basic setup for our Tailwind. That's basically what it looks like. If my styling skills don't convince you to subscribe, I don't know what else will. Let's go back and start bringing in that user information into this new box that we have here. I'm just going to go ahead and close this out for us because we're not really going to be needing it. But the relationship, what I want to do is for this one, I want to put one-to-one so that we know exactly which relationship it is. And then for here, I'm just going to put users character here. Now, instead of this right here, this some words thing, we can use that user variable that we have. And let's go and see what this is going to print for us. If you take a look, this is printing out everything involving the user from that users table, but it is not printing out anything in relation to the character. Absolutely fine. Because now here what we can do is, instead of just user, we can tap into that relationship of character, and then we can grab the username just like that. And look at that. Our character's username is Stephanie29. Let's go and look at the database really quick. Let's go ahead, open it up. We'll go to tables. And let's take a look at the users table first. Who are all these people? I'm not even sure. Let's go to the characters table. And did I run this a couple of times? I might have. I don't know. But here's the username. The user ID is 5. And so now this user will be user ID of 5, which is Jerry Cub. And now we have linked the users to the characters table. The user has one character. If we take a look in our notes here, we've done this first part of it. So I'm going to go ahead and comment it out just for now so that we know that we've done it. Now, the other thing that we're looking at is that the character will belong to one user. So now we want to use the character, create a variable, and then associate it with that user so that we can have the inverse of this relationship. In the web.php, this is why I have so many users, is because I still have this up here. So actually what I want to do is I'm going to copy this and I'm going to comment this out. So the next part of this will be character belongs to the user. So I'll just go ahead and paste this in for right now. And instead of using this stuff here, I'm going to create a new variable. We'll say user equals user find. We'll just use the first one. And here we'll do character equals user character, because now we can tap into that. And so for this, we'll have the user here so that we can maintain that in that field in the welcome blade that we have. And then I'll say character equals character. What that now means is that because we have the user's character username, we can now do the inverse and get the character user's name. I'll go ahead and copy this right here. And then I'll paste it here. And here I'll put character user's name. So here, instead of using character here, we'll bring that in. And now here we can say user name. Character, user, name, user, character, username. So now this is the inverse of that one-to-one relationship. Now what this means is that on the user model, we should have a user function where we can tap in to the user's name. For our character model, let's go ahead and do that. We'll say character belongs to. This one has brought in our default, get the user that owns the character. We have user down here as a function, and now that's what we can tap into. That's where this user is coming from. Everything is good, and again, we do not need the foreign or the other key as we are using the convention. So let's go ahead. What I want to do is make sure that I am not creating any more users with this. We're just looking for the first one. We're grabbing the user character, and we've got some variables. Let's go ahead, refresh. Okay, so now we have character user's name, which is Brenna Anderson. This is the first user that we have. This is their username, their character username, and then the actual user's username, which is the official name. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that like button as it really does help out the channel. Here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like, and here's a playlist to follow along. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.